Welcome to the Ohio Ram Show.
Well, hello again. It's Lee Kreider here, producer of the Ohio Ram Show with show number 301. This is just a lead in to the live stream we did last night when Joanna Sharpe of New Zealand won the virtual race across the West women's division. We had a great time. It's 48 minutes long. You can skip through it down to the end to see her finish if you wish. There's a lot of interesting things that happen along the way. And so enjoy. We're not going to edit or cut or do anything. Just let it roll. So enjoy. All righty, everybody. As I said, we're inventing an airplane as we're flying it here. And where are you at now? Last I looked, you were about 23 kilometers out, right?
Yeah, I think I might even be a little bit nearer because obviously I can't see my phone because it's sitting in front of me. I think I've got maybe about 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, less than 15Ks, I think, something like that.
Okay, less than 15K. We're here with I'm going crazy. We're here with Joanna Sharpe in Auckland, New Zealand, and she's getting ready to win VRAW. And if you're watching on either Facebook or YouTube, if you make a comment, I actually think I can see it and we can actually post it here. So if somebody's out there watching, please make a comment and let's see if we can see it here. Like I said, this is all new to me. I've done a lot of shows. In fact, just finished show 300, but I guess this is 301.
We're like fully inventing new technology here.
Yeah. Well, this isn't new. It's new for me to use this way. Yeah. So we're happy to have you here with us. You've got a little ways to go. So how's it been going today?
Today's been quite hard, if I'm honest. This morning, I was in quite a dark place for a wee while this morning, which is not really like me because I've been pretty good the whole way through. But I think it just still felt an enormous task, early on this morning. And there was a very hilly block. So we had 160 kilometers of distance, but with 3,400 meters or so of climbing. So what they've done with the app is they've clipped the climbs. So effectively what happens is you climb a section, but you don't descend it. So consequently, the entire thing was climbing. So when I was in the middle of that, it was quite hard. But then I came through that and that was good. And we're on a nice flat end section now. So that picked me up a bit. And feeling strong going into the finish now.
Okay, well, we're getting some comments here from Mark Vickers, Georgie Stoyevich, Eric Miller, Sandra Burns says hi from Rick and Sandy. And
hi, everybody.
You know them?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, hi.
Okay, great. This is working very well. And Doug Chivington, who's up here just a little bit north of me, saying good job, awesome for both of your whatever. So thank you for those comments. And as we close in on your win, Sally Higginbotham, go Joanna, you're an inspiration.
Oh, bless, that's incredibly kind. I have to say, I don't know I feel that at the moment, but that's lovely to say. Honestly, It's just been a matter of keeping pedaling, really. I mean, that's it, ultimately.
Gailey Brown says, go, Joe, go.
Oh, thanks.
Rich Wyatt says, go, Joe, eyes down. Well,
now, Rich Wyatt, interesting interestingly, is part of the crew, Lee, who's going to be helping me in the world record attempt that we're doing here in New Zealand in February, where I'm attempting to ride the length of New Zealand solo in the fastest time. And Rich is very kindly driving a support van for me to make sure that I don't know, ride off the road when I get tired or something like that.
Okay, very good. So if you've just joined us, we're here with Joanna Sharpe, who's getting ready to win the virtual race across the West, the first woman in. And we want to, if you've got a comment, drop it in there and we'll paste it here for you as much as we can. Mark Longwell, congrats, super work.
Oh,
Penelope Sharpe. Penelope Sharpe.
Oh, that's my mum. Hey, Mum.
That's your mom. Hi, Mom. Wave to Mom. Well, we're glad you made it in. Hey, Penelope, aren't you staying up late there in, I guess she's in the United Kingdom, is she?
That's right. So it would be the middle of the night there. It's probably actually 2:30 in the morning.
It's about, well, it's 26 when I added up, 26:49 to subtract. Yeah, she's getting close to 3 a.m. there. Well, thanks for dropping in. And again, if you'd like to have a comment either on YouTube or Facebook, just in there in the comments section, type it in and we'll say hello. If you got a question for
Feel free
Joanna.
to ask questions, because I can't believe that you don't have any people out there watching.
Of course.
I mean, of course, this is a first. We've never done a virtual race across America or race across the West before, have we, Lee?
Well, you will be the first and maybe only virtual RAW winner in history for women.
Well, we'll see. There's a couple behind me who I'm hoping are going to keep going.
Oh, and, I was watching. Now, I'll tell you what, Ginger Howell's doing a tremendous job, but she was gaining on you. She was gaining on you a little bit. But I see here of late, yeah, she was starting to lose out. Again, if you've got any comments, things you'd like to tell, just put it in the comments section here. We'll post them as long as they're appropriate. I have to say that.
Yeah,
but
I haven't slept for 3.5 days, so be kind.
Yeah. Well, you've done remarkably well, and when we see a lot of people suffering, so I mean, everybody suffers on these races, but I think we found out that this is harder than we ever imagined. So, is Jude around?
Jude's a she, and she's right here. Jude's normally quite shy in front of the camera, but we'll get her just to put her head in next to me. Jude's been feeding me with bottles of drinks and food and all sorts
of things.
Well, hello,
Jude. I've been hearing a lot about you, but it's good to say hello to you. Thanks for all you've done.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. It's been a real buzz, real privilege.
Have you got as much sleep as she has?
Oh, way more.
I didn't ask, how did the sleep go last night?
I took 45 minutes last night, so all up I've had 3 lots of 45-minute sleeps, and I think that was probably enough, to be honest. I mean, of course, if you're not trying to set a fast time, you could probably take a bit more, but I think 45 minutes is good. It's not so long that you go into a deep sleep. And I woke up feeling refreshed. It was hard to get back on this morning because things are very stiff. My legs look like, I don't know really, they look like elephant's legs. They're very, very swollen with fluid now. But I think that's, as you were saying before, Lee, the challenge that I think we've all found doing virtual RAW is that, of course, you're in a static position for a very long time. So you don't have those micro movements that you would get on the road. So I think what's been difficult has been keeping your body moving enough to try and stop stiffness and fluid retention. That's been a challenge, I think, for a lot of people.
Well, here's a Richard Sharpe. That sounds like somebody
That's
you'd
my
know.
daddy.
Hi, Dad.
Yeah, hey, Daddy.
Glad to see you. Where does your folks live in the UK?
They live in the south of England, in Devon. So I think the entire town knows about what we've been doing here, Lee, with the virtual race across America and race across the West. I think Mummy and Daddy have told probably everybody they know. And it honestly, it's just been a privilege to be part of it, to do something that's a world first, and be part of a groundbreaking team of people that have kind of got together to support it has been very humbling. So I'm really honoured to have been part of it, and to take the win is just an added bonus, really.
Yeah. Well, this is quite the thing. Hey, listen, you people out there in Devon, I'm going to come over there one of these days, and I want to get some clotted cream and some scones and some butter. And I'm telling you, folks, if when I get to heaven, they don't have that, as I found it in the part of the world, I'm going to ask if there's any alternatives.
I'm pretty sure that my mum and dad would look after you, Lee.
Okay, very good. We love that part of England. My wife and I had our tandem over there a couple of years and cycled down through that area pretty seriously. And let's see who else is here. Frank Chan is saying hi.
Hi, Frank. Frank's another New Zealand cyclist. It's been interesting, actually, Lee, the amount of interest that we've had from the New Zealand cyclist community. People have been really intrigued as to what the race is about. And I think the best part for me of having been part of Virtual Race Across America is the amount of people it can open it up to. So, especially in a little country like New Zealand, where we're a long way from America, hopefully if they run it again, it'll give people the opportunity to be involved who might not otherwise, be able to do so.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm still learning how to use all this. Who all has joined here? Cindy Robinson, Mark Vickers, Stephen Jackson, Scott Elliott, Chris O'Keefe. Hi, Chris. How are you? Doug Chivington. We saw Jane Janowsik. Let's see. Who else? John Morehouse, Thomas Hooker, Dan Renfro. Hi, Dan. Hey, jump in here and make a comment. You're used to this stuff.
Dan, surely you want to know something about what this has been like.
And Julian Eisenbees. Oh, I had him on the show once a long time ago. Tom Florian. Hi, Tom. How are you? Hey, anybody? Jim Lawyer. Hey, Jim, jump in here, make a comment. And any of you want to make a comment or ask a question, we'll see that it gets posted here. And let's see. I have lost my tracker. Can you tell me how far we've got to go yet?
I'll just get Jude to check that for you.
Okay.
But, I'm going to say 3, 6, 11, about 11 kilometers. So I tell you what's been really interesting, Lee. I've never raced, obviously, something this long before, but you get to a point where you never think you're going to be proud of yourself for holding 1.5 watts per kilo. But I can tell you that today, when I've been able to hold 1.5 watts per kilo, I felt very proud of myself. So we're not doing a great speed. I'm currently sitting at just on 23 kilometers an hour, riding along the flats here the last 11 kilometers to the finish of VRAW. And I'm sure that if I was on a nice fresh set of legs, I'd probably be riding it at somewhere close to 40. But that's not happening today. So it's a very humbling experience being part of the RAM family, because you you realise that you're not quite as got quite the endurance that maybe you thought you had when you start out on this adventure.
Yeah, well, it is a family, and we have worked hard here at the Ohio Ram Show to build the worldwide family. And I want to say thank you to Dan. He does this all the time, and he's kind of watching to see if the old man knows what the heck he's doing here. And let's see what's here. Frank Chan says, "What's the first thing you'll do when you get off the bike?"
Frank, you know what? I've been thinking about that for quite a few hours now. I'm very, very keen to get out of what I now don't call my pain cave anymore. I now refer to it as my prison cell. And so I'm looking forward to getting out of this room and into a nice warm bath, because honestly, I hadn't realised, and full credit to everybody who's done RAM or RAW before, quite the state your legs get in. Now, Lee, I know you'll know Craig Harper, who's one of New Zealand's best or most successful ultra distance cyclist. He took part in RAM last year, and I think came third. I was speaking to him earlier today and saying to him, "Is this normal? Should my legs be the size of tree trunks?" And he tells me it is very normal, but for me, it's the first time I've experienced it. So putting my legs in a nice warm bath is going to be the first thing I'm going to do, Frank, and probably have a nice cup of tea, I'd say.
Well, Dan Renfro, who is not an ultra cyclist, I don't know if he's been on a bicycle much in the last 40 years, but he'd like to see the bike you're on. So if you have a chance to do that.
Yeah. And whilst I'm doing that, I'll just give a shout out. I think actually Gail is actually watching. I'm very lucky to be part of the Liv family. So I'm actually riding a brand new Liv Langma. It looks quite a state, but I'll get Jude to kind of show you if she can. I apologise for the fact I currently have a pillow sitting beneath my bum, but believe me, until you...
Well, why would you have that? You've only been on there for 4 days straight.
Correct.
We love it.
For that amount of time, you'll do whatever it takes to keep you pedaling, Lee. So
actually, absolutely.
But it's a brand new Liv Langma, which I was very, very grateful to have been able to have, thanks to Liv. Just a couple of weeks before the COVID-19 lockdown. So it's not something that we'd probably normally do with it sitting on a wind trainer, but it's got ETAP, and that's been fabulous, Dan, I can say, because as I'm sure any other ultra cyclists know, your hands get incredibly sore and tired. So having ETAP has been fabulous, because from a shifting perspective, it's been really easy. So that's been great. So I've really enjoyed riding it as much as you can enjoy sitting in the same position for 3.5 days. And
yeah, I don't think my last 2 fingers here will ever come back to life fully.
I've heard many people say the same, I have to say, Lee. So I apologise to Liv for the fact that I've got a pillow sitting on the beautiful saddle. But yeah, it's a very different experience being on the indoor trainer, I can tell you.
Can any of you dot watchers tell you how many miles it's showing there now? And I know we're about... Pardon?
I'm reliably told.
It's 15... or kilometers, I should say.
Yeah, 10 kilometers to go, Lee.
10 kilometers to go. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about here.
If we don't have any questions, I'll maybe just share some of the...
Yeah, you just pedal along here, and maybe some people will... Hey, Jim, lawyer, are you still there?
Yeah, okay,
Sally.
So just
Sally Higginbotham says 10.
What was that? Sorry?
Hey, Jim, did you suppose if I send you a link, you'd come in here? Jim's awful shy.
Oh, Jim, don't be shy. Whilst Jim's thinking about it, then, just for common interest, a couple of things that I found have been very different from the ride. There's been things that have been easier, and there's been things that have been a lot harder. But certainly, I have to say, efficiency has been much easier, Lee. So, unlike last year when Jen Orr won VRAW, and of course, every time she wanted to take a break, she had to have her support wagon there at hand. So for me, what I did was I moved everything into this one room. So I had a bed in here. I've got a table set up next to me with drinks and food on it. And luckily for me, a bathroom right next door. So from an efficiency perspective, I think it was really easy for me to be able to put in a competitive time because of those things, which of course Jen didn't have when she won VRAW last year. But I think the more challenging aspects are around, as I said before, the lack of mobility, the being in a static position, and also the fact that when you're riding on a virtual platform, of course, you're being reactive as opposed to proactive. So you have to be very attentive, as I'm being now, to the platform, not just to change the rides, but also to make sure that you're aware of hills coming up. So one of the things I learned early on was that because of the way that the VRAW has been set up, you've got a lot of very steep ascents with then some small descents, if you're lucky. But of course, that means you've got to change gears very quickly. So you can easily find yourself in a situation where you've kind of jammed your gears. Again, apologies to Liv for probably the horrific damage I've done to this poor bike. But yeah, you've got to be very attentive to the platform when you're riding it. And on the road, of course, it's a lot more organic. So there's certainly some challenges. I think a lot of people found the amount of climbing quite unforgiving because probably doesn't reflect on camera, but those that know me, I'm probably one of the smaller cyclists that you'd find. I don't weigh in at 50 kilos, so I'm quite small. So for me, the climbing was probably easier than it would have been for some. But it certainly was a brutal amount of climbing. So especially today, the last sort of 500 kilometers of VRAW was some very brutal climbs, which even I found really, really tested me physically and mentally. So it's been quite a different experience from your typical endurance race, I'd say.
Okay, I was chatting with Jim Lawyer there for a bit. I don't know if you answered Sally's question. The most surprising thing you found, and I want to say hello to Jen Orr, who just popped in.
Oh, Jen! Oh my goodness! Hello. The most surprising thing. Well, look, I've never done anything like this before. I'd never actually even had a virtual trainer until 6 weeks ago. So probably the most surprising thing for me is the intensity of riding on a virtual platform. And I can certainly see how the efficiencies for using it, incorporating full gas into your training program would be for road cyclists, because you really are getting a lot of bang for your buck, really, in your workout schedule. So that was probably the most surprising. I think I probably didn't anticipate it being quite as realistic as it was.
And Jen says, congrats on an awesome race. Now, Jen is doing VRAW, but she's also working. So she's going to take the full 12 days. I really haven't checked up on Jen to see how she's doing. A couple other people out there as well who are doing it that way. They're allowed to take the 12 days instead of the, 92 hours? But
I think Jen's incredible. I'd be really interested after this is finished, Jen, and you've completed it. I'd love you to get in touch to hear how you found it compared to winning VRAW last year, because I'm very in awe of your cycling talent, and I'll be I'll be keen to hear what you think about this, because I have to say I found it brutal. It's hard.
Well, the Ohio Ram show has made a special effort to bring and interest more women in this sport, because I am a believer that if we had enough women in the sport, we would see overall winners more often among women. And Jen was an overall winner last year in the race across the West. And I want to bring in a friend of mine, Jim Lawyer, up here in Troy. He's only about 12 miles away from me. Hi, Jim. How are you?
Very good, Lee. How about yourself?
Hi, we're doing good. And I want to say hello to Jim because he's one of these people who operates a time station here in Ohio. We have 3 staffed stations in a row, 41 in Oxford, 42 in Blanchester, and 43 in Chillicothe. And Jim was instrumental in helping get Blanchester set up, and then instrumental in getting Oxford set up and going. And then when they were going, he went over to Chillicothe and set up a 3rd time station there. So Jim, Jim, you're doing the 60, aren't you?
Yeah, we just got done riding. April finished real good, and I went as far as I could go tonight.
Okay, very good. Well, I just wanted to say hi to you, Jim, and got a question for Joanna here?
No, you look really good. Look really strong. Proud of you.
Thank you very much, Jim. That's very deceptive, because I can tell you I feel probably the opposite of strong. So thank you. That makes me really happy to know that I look that way. I have to say I've felt more than pushed to my limits. There's been times in the last 3 days that I thought, oh, goodness me, there's digging deep, and then there's digging deep, which I'm sure Jen would say would be exactly the same for her last year. But yeah, it's been a tough 3 days, but one that I'm very, very proud to have been part of. And it's not something I expected. I didn't come into it expecting a result, to be honest. I just thought, I'll ride it. I'll ride to my numbers. I'll ride to how I feel comfortable. And to have finished up there with the top sort of 2-3 men was, very surprising. So I know that Liv, like myself, are obviously a bike brand that's aimed at women. And I definitely support your point there, Lee, about encouraging more women to take part in ultra distance cycling, because I think, as Jen proved last year, and hopefully my result has proved from this year, as women we can compete with the men in these types of events. And obviously that's why I love being partnered with Liv, who make bikes specifically for us.
Well, Dan Renfro is asking a synopsis of what we're seeing. As again, he's not a part of ultra cycling at all, except we're friends through a lot of other connections. But there may be some other people out there that don't understand what's going on. Well, Jim, why don't you tell us how this works, essentially?
As far as the virtual ride, basically everybody has got a trainer that lets the computer control the power, the feel, and we load up full gas and a specific segment that emulates the outside real world, and start it and then ride as hard as we can or as well as we can, going up and down hills, etc. But riding on trainers is a lot harder than outside, as people are saying, because you never get a break. There's no coasting, etc. So you're riding all the time.
I'm interested to hear you say downhill there, Jim, because having not visited America often, I've only been there twice. Having done virtual race across the West, I've now been led to believe that there are no downhills in America, because I don't think I've ridden down many hills. I've ridden up a lot.
Well, yeah, I guess you don't get much of a coast on the trainer.
Not at all.
Somebody said it's kind of like riding a fixie when you're going a downhill segment.
Definitely. And
there's nothing more demoralizing than feeling like you just want to have a drink, and then as soon as you stop pedaling, you come to a grinding halt. I'm sure that Jim, you'll agree with me there, as It's a little disheartening at times.
This reminds me of riding into Walla Walla, Washington, up from the Columbia River, and I stopped there to get something to eat. And they said, "Where you going?" I said, "I'm headed up to Walla Walla," and they said, "Oh, it's downhill all the way." And so I start out, and I'm riding along, and I'm getting awfully tired. I stop. Have I got a low tire? Is a brake dragging? Something's wrong. And until I looked backwards and realized I'd been climbing one heck of a hill. It was one of those optical illusions.
Yep.
And until I looked back, I was really getting discouraged. Hey, I want to give a shout out to people who dropped in. Ryan Heidenfeld. Hi, Ryan. How are you? He used to live up here in Michigan, and we saw him around here in the old Calvin's Challenge. Crystal Hootman, Carrie Lynn Kerr, and Tracy Kellis is in here as well. Any of you like to pop in, say hello, just give us a text message there, and we'll be sure and post it and tell Joanne. Hey, Jim, thanks a lot for being with us and filling us in on how this all works. And I hope there are a lot of other people. And hang around a little bit. We might chat with you a little more, okay?
Definitely. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Jim. I'm very pleased to say that we're now going into our last 5Ks. I'm very pleased to say that.
Before Jim goes away, is there a race across America in your future?
If you'd asked me that 3 days ago, I would have said that it was a dream of mine to follow in Craig Harper's footsteps, who obviously is talked about before as a RAM finisher from New Zealand, and to take part in Race Across America. But I think the phrase "too soon" comes to mind, Lee. Maybe we might leave that question for another day when I don't feel like...
Why don't we wait a month on that one? But if you do, Jim here will be waiting to say hello to you, regardless of whether it's day, night, or what have you.
Definitely.
Thanks a lot, Jim.
Thank you.
I will take you up on that.
Take care. Let's go. We got to get together and have coffee one of these days, Jim.
Definitely. We'll do it soon.
Okay, we're not that far away.
Definitely.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was nice to see Jim.
3 kilometers to go.
Okay, where are we at? Anybody? Can you give me a clue on how far we got to go?
3 kilometers to go.
3 kilometers to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in order to do that, what I have to do is finish this current ride. And the last little section they've given us for our viewing pleasure is to ride across Golden Gate Bridge. And that's what they're classing as the finish line for Virtual Race Across the West this year. So a little uphill and then a downhill. But of course, as we talked about, we don't get to spin down hills. So I'll still be pedaling right the way across the bridge to the finish.
You'll be pedaling right up to the very end. So keep us surprised. And how are we going to count down? I don't know. You'll tell us.
The more puffy I get, the closer to the finish line we are, Lee. That's been an interesting thing, actually, that I'd be keen to hear from Jen about. That I normally, when you're riding, even doing endurance races as I do, sort of 500 kilometer type stuff, you're working quite hard and you get quite puffy. And I realized yesterday that I'd stopped puffing. And I was wondering, I couldn't work any harder. I couldn't get any more watts out. So I was like, why am I not puffing? And it was explained to me that I think eventually your body just gives up, resigns itself to the fact that that's what you're doing now. So that's why I sound so fine and I can talk to you. It's not that I'm not exhausted. It's just that my body won't go any harder than it is.
Well, you're doing very well. We chatted before about doing this, and I have to say, I think I'll tell a little secret on you. A few hours ago, you were feeling pretty blue, I think.
Oh, I was feeling more than a little blue. I'm not going to lie. It was very hard going for a little while there, as you know. We were in a very hilly section. It was very physically challenging. And yeah, I think that was at the point at which one of our riders has actually pulled out. It was a very difficult stage. Not meaning to scare anybody that hasn't done it yet, but yeah, it was pretty hard.
Okay, if you're just new to here, we are getting very close to Joanna Sharpe from Auckland, New Zealand, winning the virtual race across the West as the first woman finisher, and less than 3 kilometers to go. So we'll be checking in, and Damon Shock says, "Yay, Joe." Shack, I'm sorry.
Can I just say thank you? Can I say a thank you just before I do finish the app to Revolve 24, who are the event organisers, and obviously Virtual Race Across America and the Race Across America org for having all come together and provided us with this opportunity, which obviously in times of an inability to travel has been a blessing, well, and a curse, depending on how you look at it, but to be able to take part in something. So I just want to thank everybody who helped organise it, and also to every single person that entered and took part. It would have been nothing without the amount of entrants. So thank you so much to everybody.
Well, yes, we need to say thank you to the people who did this. I can't remember all their names right now, but they were able to put this together in extremely short order. Fortunately, this Full Gas was a platform they could build on, so they weren't starting from scratch, but they had to put together a lot of data and a lot of technology, and they do it. I understand they work day and night. How they did it, I don't know. I've heard some people say, well, they could have done this, they could have done that, they could have done that. Jim over there, he's an IT guy. He knows how hard this stuff is to put together, and they did one heck of a job. Jim, I'll bring you in here. Don't you agree? Oh, you got his mic off.
From me, Lee, I can say it's been flawless. I haven't had one issue, and I've ridden solid. As I said, I've taken 3 45-minute breaks in total in the last 3 days and 13 hours and 20 minutes, and I haven't had one issue. I haven't had it drop out once. I haven't had any of the rides stall. I haven't had issues with uploading. It's been perfectly smooth. So I just think that's an incredible achievement.
Okay, and Frank Chan again. Congratulations to Jude and your support team, sponsors, and family. Joe, incredible achievement. Of course it is. Of course it is. I don't have any fireworks or anything here.
The biggest reward that I have, you've actually given me, Lee. You've allowed my parents in particular, but obviously, friends and family to see and be part of this adventure. So you've given me a great gift, and thank you for having spent time chatting to me the last 2 days. I've obviously seen you and heard you interview before, and it's been a real honor. Thank you so much.
Well, it's been fun for me, and I do this a little bit on the regular Race Across America and Race Across the West. Pick out a team or two, a solo or two, and try to follow them. It's been much easier because you're a captive audience, so to speak. I don't have to track you down. I don't have to figure out where you're going to have a signal, because there's a lot of places in this country where there's no connection at all. But so it's been kind of easy to get hold of people. And for those of you who are doing virtual RAM, you would say, well, you haven't talked to me yet. I've been kind of waiting until we kind of get some people out of VRAW before we can get on to virtual RAM. The one thing I'm wondering about...
Anybody doing RAM is an... goodness.
I
don't even know. Anybody who's doing it.
After I hear your stories, well, let's not speculate, but I think we're going to see a lot of sore people before virtual RAM is over.
You're looking at a very sore person right now, Lee.
Yeah.
I'm coming up to just over 1 kilometre to go, and I can honestly tell you, I don't know that I've ever been sorer. That's probably terrible English, but I've never been more sore, should I say, than I am right now. It's a next level pain that I hope to not experience again anytime soon.
Okay.
I'm smiling on the outside and crying on the inside.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. And listen, so you got just a little over 1 kilometer, is that correct?
I've got less than that now. So coming up to just 900 meters to go.
900 meters to go.
Thank goodness is all I can say.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. So everybody get ready to give us a big cheer here. I don't have any way to do it other than...
I'm going to feel them coming through the airways. I can feel the love.
Let's see what Penelope, just before everybody starts, congratulations. Mom and Dad want to say how proud we are of your achievement. See you on Skype after you have rested. Okay, I'm sure you will.
Don't make me cry on camera, Mummy.
Well, that almost makes me cry. And no, actually, I got allergies. That's not...
Yeah, no, that makes me... that makes me really happy. Thank you, Mummy and Dad.
Well, I'm just glad that we could do this. Having your parents be able to see this was worth it for me to get up way after my bedtime. I told Joanna that the house management here gave me permission to stay up late tonight, so that's why I can do this.
Well, I'm about to finish it off for you, Lee. We're coming up to just 200 meters to go. So you're
200 meters to go. And the congrats are coming in.
Yeah. This is
Doug Chivikin says yay. Yeah. Doug Chivikin says yay. Adrian Wright
says, hey, Adrian.
Yeah.
So, that's me just crossing the finish line now. Yay.
Well, congratulations. Let's Jim. Jim had his cowbell there. Well, I'm glad you had something. I didn't have anything.
Yeah,
okay.
That's so kind.
Great job.
Chris, yeah, wonderful. Chris O'Keefe says awesome. Adrian Wright, yay. Sean, can't seem to. Sean Beatty, New Zealand, says hello. Damon, congratulations. Frank, yoo-hoo.
Stand up for a few weeks now.
Oh, please, take care of yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thanks to everybody that came and helped me celebrate the finish. Every single person that finishes VRAW.
Yeah, so we've been on here 48 minutes.
Exactly the same accolade. There's no big deal winning it.
Thank you for doing this. Like I said, I knew this service had this capability, but I'd never tried it before. I didn't see anybody come on from YouTube, but I think everybody that checked in was from Facebook. So,
well,
okay.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, lady.
You know what?
Thank you so much. And good luck to you, Jim, for the rest of your event, and good luck to Jen and everybody else still competing. You're welcome to it now. I'm out of here.
Okay. Well, thanks, and we're going to go out of here ourselves. Thanks, Jim, for coming in. Thanks for all. I was wondering if anybody would show up, and they sure have. So thank you, everybody. We might just do this again sometime, Jim.
Definitely, sir.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
We're gonna say goodbye.
This is Gregory Zuber, thanking you for watching and sharing.
Music